Welcome to Geekery and Academia. I'm your instructor, Dr. Mike. Here at Geekery and Academia, I discuss a wide range of topics and issues from comic books, novels, movies, and videos to education, history, college life, and graduate school, and whatever else pops into my silly little head. Thank you for joining me in this organized chaos. And in today's class, we are discussing my favorite comic book series, and the series that got me into consistently reading comics, the Young Avengers. Specifically, I am talking about what I'd like to see in their eventual inclusion into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But who are the Young Avengers? For those who don't know, the Young Avengers appeared in the comics after the Avengers were forced to disassemble after the Scarlet Witch lost control of her mind and powers, leading to the events of Avengers Disassembled and House of M. The Young Avengers formed as a team of teenage superheroes initially seeking to prevent an attack from Kang the Conqueror, who were led by Nate Richards, who is a younger version of Kang, only for the team to get the attention of the Avengers, who sought to disband this young team. Eventually, the Young Avengers proved themselves worthy of the title and eventually became recognized as official Avengers, who got involved in many of the Marvel conflicts, such as the Superhero Civil War and the Secret Invasion, while also battling foes like the Super Skrull, the Dark Avengers, and eventually even Doctor Doom. So talking about the Young Avengers, the MCU is clearly establishing their arrival, as we've seen many of the members appear in the movies and shows, such as Cassie Lang from the Ant-Man films, Eli Bradley in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. You've even got potential glimpses into Billy Kaplan and Tommy Shepard in the forms of Billy and Tommy Maximoff in WandaVision, and we're set to see America Chavez in Doctor Strange 2. But so far, no sign of Nate Richards, Teddy Altman, and Novar, and certainly no sign of David Allen, who is also part of the X-Men, or the younger version of the Vision. Now, when it comes to introducing the team into the MCU, it is clear that things are playing out differently than they did in the comics. For starters, the comics had most of these characters appear as an unofficial team first, but the MCU is clearly looking to introduce them as individuals first before putting the team together, which is fine, but to build on that, here are some things I'm hoping to see. For starters, I'm hoping that however we get the Young Avengers, that they appear as a TV series first, not as a movie, because as much as I love the films, I would say that the Young Avengers would benefit from a TV series format, be it on platforms like Disney Plus or Hulu, because there are generally around 6 members on the team who need the time to flesh out their individual characters and the team-like dynamics, which is significantly easier to do with around 6 to 10 episodes versus a single 2-hour movie. Second, I'm hoping that the initial lineup wouldn't stray too far from the comics lineup. I'm talking that we get Eli, Kate, Cassie, Billy, Tommy, and Teddy, with America possibly thrown in, but really only if they age up her character. And on the subject of Teddy, since he's the only one without some version of himself introduced, I'm hoping that something like the Secret Invasion series serves as his introduction, since Teddy is the son of the Kree warrior Marvel and Skrull Princess Nell, making him the Prince of Skrulls. So Secret Invasion would potentially be a perfect place to introduce Teddy, since it is a Skrull-centric plot, if not maybe Captain Marvel 2, since that'll focus on the Kree. Another big thing that I want to see is Billy's Jewish heritage to be emphasized. It doesn't need to play a central role in the plot of the show or movie, but it should still be there. Billy's Jewish identity is a huge part of his character, so it would make no sense for the MCU to take that away from him, especially given how messed up it is that the MCU stripped Wanda and Pietro of their Jewish and Roma identities. It would be a big mistake and a disservice to the character, like if they erased Magneto's Jewish heritage or Matt Murdock's Catholic faith. Also, since Teddy is surely going to appear soon, I would like to see the Billy and Teddy romance more as a slow burn. In the comics, they are already a couple during their earliest appearances, which was great, since we got a canon gay couple without much fuss, but we are also deprived of knowledge of how they met, how they fell in love, and the earliest phases of their relationship. In fact, we only got a glimpse of their past in 2021 during the events of The Last Annihilation, Hulkling, and Wiccan. So that is something that I hope that the show and movie would allow us to see by having it show their first meeting and the slow build up to their relationship. So like maybe make it a mid-season towards the end of the season for them to become an official couple, while the earlier episodes would be them doing all the awkward flirting. Now when it comes to the villains, I'm hoping that whatever initial villain we get is a smaller threat. I like to see the team get built up to being able to hold their own against these larger threats, which would get lost if they faced a major villain right off the bat. We don't need them to face King immediately like they did in the comics, especially since King is barely being introduced as a threat in the MCU. It would make more sense for them to face a smaller villain, possibly Baron Zemo, Xialing's new 10 Rings, or maybe even the Dark Avengers, since they're clearly coming soon too. And I'm sorry that I don't have more villains to list, but a majority of the ones that I can think of have already appeared and been defeated or killed, or their X-Men / Spider-Man villains would be trickier to see added as of now. Also, I'd like to see that the show emphasizes the teams developing friendships since none of them know each other as of now. The chosen family elements of the Young Avengers and how quickly they came to love each other is one of their strongest appeals of their comics. So I'd like to see that translated onto the screen because that would also help them stand out more from the Avengers, who seem less like a family and more like work colleagues, which is the problem both of the films and the comics too. In fact, the Avengers being more like colleagues was a fundamental reason why the Scarlet Witch ultimately had her breakdown, was in part because the Avengers did not allow her to grieve after the loss of her children and her divorce from the Vision. They had Agatha Harkness erase Wanda of her memories to make her a more effective hero again, instead of allowing her to process everything that happened at her own pace. So when she eventually got her memories back, it completely devastated her and prompted her to attack her teammates. On the subject of team development, I like that development to particularly be emphasized for Eli, Teddy, and Tommy. As much as I love the comics, they also did these characters dirty. Eli's largely been forgotten, with one of his big storylines being that he used drugs to have superpowers, while Tommy's constantly being ignored and mistreated in every story that he appears in. And Teddy is mostly treated as Billy's +1 rather than a fully fleshed out character with his own goals and motivations. So for these three especially, I hope that their screen adaptation gives them some justice. Lastly, please, for the love of the gods, avoid love triangles and unnecessary melodrama. We're getting away from needing to throw love triangles on everything, but I just have a gut feeling that they might throw one in between Kate, Eli, and Tommy, since there was kind of one in the comics, or maybe replacing Kate for Cassie in that scenario, since Cassie appears to be more age appropriate with Eli, and however much they decide to age up Tommy now. And to the melodrama, yeah, that should be self-explanatory, but we don't need them to the team to learn the exact same lessons every 5 minutes like Oliver Queen did in Arrow. Like really, Oliver. You push all your friends and teammates away every other episode and every season, only to, in the end, learn about the power of friendship. Every single time. So please, Marvel, don't make that same mistake. So that's it for today's class today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. My goal is to post videos every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll see if I can stick to that schedule. And you can also follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Tumblr. I'm Dr. Mike, and I'll see you next time. Bye!